Chasing Prophecy Radio, where we discuss the unidentified, the unexplainable, paranormal, conspiracies, and much more. Starring your host and co-host, Jenny Nicasio, Sean Kelly, and Jason Sledgehammer and Petro. Brought to you by UPRN Network. Now for your host, Jenny Nicasio.
Good evening and welcome to Chasing Prophecy on FM 105.3 New Orleans on the UPRN Radio Network. We're going to discuss everything beyond the scope of normal. Remember to like us on Facebook, follow us on YouTube, and TikTok, guys, because now you can go to
TikTok?
How do you do that?
Happy Torture Tuesday, darling.
Happy Torture Tuesday.
Yeah, damn
I'm
Torture Tuesday.
Jenny, of course, Nicasio, with my friend Sean Kelly, the Vampire Slayer, and Sledgehammer. Jason. It's been a long time. I feel like I haven't been here for months. But
yeah, welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back, hon.
Yeah, well, it feels like forever.
It's only been a couple weeks.
Yeah,
well,
we missed you. We missed you.
I missed you too. This is my second bout with that horrible China virus.
Okay.
So the first 2 days, I mean, the one time I wasn't off. Why was I off? Because I wasn't feeling well? I was tired. I don't know.
You were tired.
You were tired the first one, and last week was the corona or something.
Coronavirus.
Yeah, the China disease or whatever.
The China disease hit me again because I wouldn't have got it, but I had to take someone to the hospital. And of course, the hospitals are so filthy dirty in Pennsylvania, especially Pittsburgh. Sorry, guys, but they are. Sorry, I'm going to get all kind of hate mail now, but that's okay because, whatever.
Who could hate you, Jenny?
Nobody. I'm so lovable. I'm so lovable.
Yeah.
Well, I missed you guys, and I'm glad I'm back. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on out there.
Yeah.
We had the eclipse, and Jason had some phenomenal pictures. I only saw part of the moon. What about you, Sean?
Yeah.
Jason did. Of course.
I didn't. I was in bed.
Oh, you party pooper.
Yeah.
I was up for a second, and then he said, I didn't feel like going outside, so I did get just got a little clip of it, so it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, I was out on my front porch trying to videotape the whole thing, so I didn't get a chance to go over all of it yet, but.
That was what I was just going to ask you. Did you see like a ghost or a witch flying right
no, you saw me.
That would have been sweet. That would have been sweet.
I flew across the moon a couple times, but you missed me. Because well, you know what? My electric broom is in the shop. And my other broom, I had to clean up. I had a disaster in their fridge. I was trying to clean up.
So you used a broom in your fridge?
No, what happened was I put stupid Dr. Pepper and laid it down, and I was trying to shove eggs in the refrigerator, and out comes the 2-liter bottle of Dr. Pepper. It just blew up all over my garage, so I had to sweep it all up. So that's why it's being dried out. It's the cleaners, You gotta watch because sometimes they really get bad. If you don't take care of your broom, it just gets the ends get a little fuzzy.
So why don't you just trade it in and get a new one?
Well, that's why I got the electric one, and now it's in the shop. I told you the turbones are broken on it, and I'm sure Jason could fix it, but I'm not.
Jason can fix anything.
I'm not technical when it comes to stuff like that. But there's other stuff going. There's so many crazy stuff on the news. I mean, I'm sure you guys got a glimpse of the Senate. What is that? Some kind of hearings where there were some kind of congressional hearings for the UFOs, and there hasn't been one since 1968, which is pretty cool.
I didn't watch none of it.
I did, and I actually took some clips. I had video clips, but you know what? I cannot get them shorter. I'm gonna have to play them next week because I could not shorten them on to send into an e-file to send through the emails. But I did get some audio clips, so I'm gonna play some for you, and we'll go discuss what you guys think. It was kind of a joke at one point because the one guy said to the one, there was a guy that was I'm not really sure of his name. but he kind of said, "Well, aren't you a science fiction fan?" I mean, so what is that supposed to mean?
Hmm.
I mean, so he's trying to say that, oh, you're a science fiction, like make him seem like an incredible person to talk about it. But I thought it was pretty interesting, and I did just get some clips from it, and some of this was from Jesse Waters. So
There you go, Paps. Put the camera right on that light fixture. I love it.
Oh, listen, dude. I'm so trying. Everybody looks like a ghost on this damn thing. I'm telling you, it's Torture Tuesday, and that damn Mercury in retrograde. Oh, I got some stories to tell you.
Wow.
It would look like a great big north.
I want to play you this video, but I gotta turn it up because my try to see if you can understand this. Oh, that was what's his face. You don't want to hear that. I was listening to
I was stoned on ecstasy.
Geraldo said he saw one, but when he was stoned on ecstasy.
Oh, geez. You'll see all kinds of things.
Brighter than the North Star. It was right on the horizon, and I tried to avoid it. I steered around it, and it kept following me, and I went back the other way, and the Bahama Banks. It was right in front of me. It just tracked me everywhere I went.
Actually, that was not what I wanted to play. Here it is.
There are a number of
Can you hear that?
events in which we do not have an explanation, in which there are a small handful in which there are flight characteristics or signature management that we can't explain with the data that we have. None of our nuclear ICBMs were rendered inoperable. At the same time, a glowing red orb was observed overhead. That sounds like
identified aerial phenomena are a potential national security threat, and they need to be treated that way. UAPs are unexplained, it's true, but they are real. They need to be investigated, and many threats they pose need to be mitigated.
So
then again, it's just like, if you want my opinion, honestly, they're just blowing smoke everybody's butts and just talking like they know what's going on. And for a fact, I think I know that they're not going to do nothing about the damn thing.
well, we're gonna discuss more of this, but we have to take a commercial break for our sponsors tonight. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna play one. Okay. Let me tell you about my good friends at the Hunting Unearthly and Paranormal Stories podcast. If you're looking for a new podcast that's sure to scare, you're going to check these guys out. They're great.
Welcome to the Haunting, Unearthly, and Paranormal Stories podcast. Each week will be a different event, whether paranormal or some other strange and unexplained happening. Maybe even a haunting located near you will be examined and relayed to you. These events and stories are based on events have been given to us by the people who experience these events in their own lives.
Check them out. They're really good. And we're going to talk about a little bit about my other friends. They are, let me tell you, via CBD hemp. Okay. No, check them out. Guys, I know you tried something like this before. You did, Jason, for sure. We talked about products that help you with colds and sore throats, especially with COVID. And I know how that is since I'm recovering from it. But have you ever taken the CBD product hoping that it would help relieve stress? And I need that so much, especially sleep. But you were left disappointed? Well, Via Hemp Company is dedicated to crafting high-strength hemp products you can actually feel. And get this, they even have a legal THC product that they can ship to your door in all 50 states. These guys have crafted products to promote specific effects such as sleep, and we need that, and pain relief, and even the energy that we all lack. Whether you want gummies, topicals, vapes, or drops, they got you. So head over to their site and improve your daily routine with Via Hemp Company. Visit viahemp.com and use the Prophecy 15 code. Prophecy 15. That's Via, VIA MIIAHEMP.com. Check them out. You're going to surely like it. I know I did. Yes. Next week, I
Okay.
think I will do it live because that was a recording. I sound a little nasally there, so I'm going to try to get hopefully next week I won't be so bad, but definitely via hemp CBD, you got to try it. I personally like gummies myself but you have to be careful because once you have one, you want to keep eating them. So and you're all
just eat the whole bag.
you're all
and then-
stoned.
Wow.
No, I'm teasing.
Eat the whole bag and then call us.
I will.
Yeah. Yeah, we should have a show after you eat the whole bag.
Seriously. I'm really hot right now. I'm like sweating. It must be it's all that hemp now.
Oh, jeez.
No, so anyways, a lot of those UFOs that they saw were more like drones. They admitted they were their own drones. But you know what? If they're so worried about this, why don't they do something? Like it could be China or Russia. And I hear an echo. So why am I hearing myself?
It's all in your head, Jenny.
Is it?
Yeah.
I hear
How many gummies did you eat before you came on?
Yeah. Yeah, welcome
No.
back.
Welcome back. Oh my God. No, I'm fine. I'm okay. It's just like I don't have the air on. I really don't need the air on. But I should probably put the air on. Well, when I was in here the other day, I started my diet again, by the way.
How's that going?
I'm doing a different one. I'm doing it's from 2006, a Michael Thurman. It's on body makeover in 6 days. But I ate these when I was sick. You can't see because my green screen.
Was it goldfish?
Cheetos.
Cheetos.
Those are great for trapping mice.
No, you know what? This is a little bad. No, these are dangerous. I didn't
Why?
eat dinner on Saturday, so I ate 6 packs.
Oh my goodness.
bro.
There's let me see how many calories in. There's 160, so I had 600 calories.
That's coexisting with the gummy bears.
I liked it because it was delicious and it really satisfied me.
Okay.
Okay, back to the UFOs. Okay, I am waiting to get picked up by the UFOs. I put out a flyer, so I'm waiting for them to come over the edge.
So if one day you just disappear and we can't find you,
Yeah.
we'll be like,
So we know where you went, huh?
she's getting harvested by the UFOs.
No. Somebody said that you can talk paranormal. Yeah, we're talking paranormal, you guys. So just being such critical fans out there. We are going to be talking paranormal, and our guest is going to come on in about 5 minutes. Hopefully he got the link. Let me talk about a little bit before we go. I don't know if anybody out there watches Days of Our Life, but they have this segment on there that goes back to the 1980s when Marlena Evans was possessed by the devil. Well, the devil's back in Salem, and he's already occupied Marlena. Let's see, who was the other one? Johnny, DeMero, and this little girl. I forget her name. She's a little. I cannot. Do you believe I cannot remember the other characters? 2 other people.
I could believe it.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like there's like this phenomena, and there's this intrigue with possessions, people being possessed by the devil. Now, I know myself, I'm scared to hell, and I wanted to wear my cross, but I forgot it, my rosary beads, like I always do when there's an exorcist on the show. But this stuff terrorizes me. Ever since I'm a scaredy cat when it comes to the devil and possessions and demonic stuff, the exorcists, the omens. But then there's this curiosity that's kind of, I want to hear more about it, which kind of freaks me out. Like, not that I'm attracted to that stuff. It's just like, I'm curious, and I don't know about you.
Curiosity killed the cat.
Yes, and our guest is coming on soon. I see him there. So
Well, I tell you what, ever since I saw the uncut version of the original Exorcist movie from the 70s, I tell you what, that movie is still as scary today as it was, I'm
Yeah,
sure,
it is.
back then.
well,
The uncut version is...
I don't know how this Adam Blai, he's our guest. He's a layman, and he's a church decree expert in religious demonology. I used to have my son had an encyclopedia on that stuff, freaked me out. And Adam he's an expert in exorcisms for someone close to us, because we are from Pittsburgh, the Diocese of Pittsburgh. And he's also served as an expert in these areas and training priests, which I thought was pretty interesting, and deacons and the laity and many other dioceses, which is really interesting. I can't wait to pick his brain. He's an auxiliary member of the International Association of Exorcists, a Vatican-recognized private association of the Christian faithful based in Rome. This is so cool. And he has over 15 years of working and training in exorcism, and that's crazy enough. Exorcism ministry. I would like to get a degree in that, but he has witnessed and experienced a number of miracles, and that's cool. And I can't wait to hear about that. And some of which he has been appointed to investigate by the church. He's also worked in the tribunal of Pittsburgh Diocese and pursuing a canon law degree. And his upcoming book is, you got to read it, The Exorcism Files. It's so cool. So without further ado, welcome to Chasing Prophecy, Adam. I'm so happy to have you here, and I'm so excited because this is a topic that terrorizes me, fascinates me, and intrigues me.
Hi, Adam.
Hey, Adam.
Hi, everybody. It's nice to be here.
Welcome to Torture Tuesday. We might need an exorcism of the show to get all the demons out.
Probably.
So we can have a flawless show.
We always have. Actually, it's going pretty good. Normally, it doesn't. So I don't know. Maybe it was the divine mercy I said earlier. I don't know. So Adam, I just can't believe that you pursued a career in this. And before we get on to ask you some questions and talk more and dive deep into the topic, how in the world did you get involved in this?
Well, I didn't pursue a career in it. This career pursued me. So I was in graduate school for adult clinical psychology for the PhD program, and doing brainwave research, and mainly studying the brain as part of that, but doing clinical training and things like that. And this was back when the paranormal craze literally just started. So Jay and Grant's show had just come out. It was the first and only paranormal show in existence. The paranormal was not trendy. This was like this weird one show on a cable network. And I was curious because I had been trained as a clinician, and I knew about mental illness, and I knew about what you can induce through hypnosis. You can cause the brain to hallucinate. A healthy, non-mentally ill brain under hypnosis can see things, hear things. And so I knew the brain's capable of tricking us. And I knew some mental illness can cause psychotic experiences, hallucinations. So I was naturally curious whether these people claiming to have spirits or ghosts, whether that was anything real or if it was just an artifact of the brain. And so I wanted to go out and meet those people for myself. And basically through that, met specialized clergy that were working on a case here in Pittsburgh. I wasn't living here at the time. And those specialized clergy, there was relatively few in the country in those days. This was about 16 years ago, that were doing exorcism work. So a lot of extraordinary doors opened, and yeah, it's just been a snowball rolling down the hill ever since then. So now I've been deeply involved for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
When I hear about all your credentials and what you've done, it reminds me of the CBS show called Evil. And are you like that? Are you the other, you're probably more like a psychologist sort of almost, or are you more like?
No, I spent 15 years kind of working in psychology. So mainly in forensic settings in the state prisons, working with the criminally insane, and seeing the extreme of mental illness that you can find in the prisons, which sadly, that's where the mentally ill, a lot of them end up these days, is in our prison system. So that's when I did my work in more psychology. And the last 15 years has been in pretty much exclusively exorcism training. So the only part of the psychology that I use now is when I do an intake interview, if there's pretty obvious signs of mental illness that I'm familiar with. I can pick up on that pretty quickly. And then also when it comes to talking with their doctors or their therapist, once they've signed a release, I kind of know that world and can talk efficiently, with doctors and psychiatrists and psychologists.
Well, how do you differentiate between somebody who is mentally disabled or has some kind of a mental illness, or how do you tell the difference between mental illness and being possessed? Is there certain key personality traits that you look for, or
not personality?
No.
So yeah, I mean, this is always the classic question. The church actually figured out hundreds of years ago that it's very important to first explore the mundane, the much more common hypothesis that it's a mental illness or a medical problem, before jumping to the very rare chance that it's possession or something spiritual, right? So if there's only a handful of possession cases in a major city in a year, every person that knocks on the door and says, well, I've self-diagnosed, I think I'm possessed because I'm having this weird experience, you don't just take that at face value. So the church figured out that you need outside evaluations, and the doctor's job isn't to diagnose possession, because that's not their expertise. It's their job to tell us whether, these symptoms are explainable and treatable. And then we would require the person to cooperate with treatment and see if that resolves it. Now, if it's a really extreme situation, even the doctors are going to say, yeah, that's not schizophrenia. That's not what we're used to seeing. And then beyond that, it's not enough for the doctor to say we can't explain it. The church then requires that you document certain signs of possession, which are basically proofs that something beyond normal human life is going on. And those classic signs are knowledge of all languages. So having schizophrenia doesn't make you suddenly fluent in ancient languages.
Okay.
The brain doesn't work that way. Knowing hidden things. So like knowing the secret sins of the people in the room.
Oh.
So epilepsy doesn't make you suddenly know people's dark secrets. Detecting the holy or knowing if something's blessed. So telling me the name of the saint whose relic is in my pocket that I didn't mention to anybody that I had with me, or lining up 10 bottles of water and one of them was blessed in the other room and they can pick out the blessed one every time. There's many other examples of that, but mental illness, medical problems don't make you suddenly able to detect blessings. And then the fourth one is strength beyond the person's condition. And that's the weakest of the signs, because in inpatient psychiatric settings, you can see pretty explosive, pretty impressive strength in a burst of adrenaline. The difference with possessed people is 3 or 4 hours later, they haven't slowed down at all. They're not fatiguing, and everybody else is covered in sweat and exhausted, like you feel like you've been fighting a Wookiee. So yeah, those signs, you have to document some of those. It's not enough for the person to just roll around on the floor and growl or tell us they think they're possessed. Sorry for the long answer.
Oh no, I found that fascinating.
So it's good.
I don't have to worry about my neighbor who speaks Japanese, or says that they have like intel from the Russians. You know what I mean? Like there's some people that think they're like paranoid, that they think someone's after them. So unless he said you have a miraculous medal in your pocket, and how would he know that? Or if he starts to talk in tongues,
No, you gotta be careful. Tongues is basically, like the Bible says, when there's tongues, there has to be an interpreter of tongues. So if you want to talk about tongues from a Christian perspective, from a biblical perspective, it sounds like gibberish to anybody except somebody with the gift of interpreting tongues.
Okay.
99.9% of the time in the modern world amongst charismatics, everybody's babbling in tongues, but nobody knows what anybody is saying. And that's not scriptural. The scripture is clear that if tongues is active, the gift of interpreting would be present. Otherwise, what's the point it's supposed to be a way for God to impart something on the community. So if somebody's just babbling and making noises, that is not possession. If
Okay.
facility and languages, like, let me give you an example. There was, and it's the one I always use because it was a striking example from many, many years ago. There was a woman here in Pennsylvania raised in a rural community, basically raised on a farm with a high school education, only spoke English, like all of us. You guys are in Pittsburgh too, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So kind of, not too far from here, but in the country. Only spoke English. And she was interrogated in English, French, Latin, Lithuanian, and German, and was properly responded to all the languages when she was in the demonic state.
Oh, wow.
So that's very different than tongues, which is like, well, just because somebody's babbling and I don't know what they're saying, that doesn't mean they're speaking accurately.
Right.
Okay, so if they start talking like an what do you call that? Islam.
Arabic?
Arabic.
So, and there was no way they could know that. So they would be a suspect of demonic possession, maybe.
If there was, just based on that, I would want to investigate. I would want to investigate a lot. So usually if somebody's possessed, their life is a shrieking nightmare and they have a lot of other complaints. They're not just speaking in a language. But yes, that's an example. So we had a person here who spoke in a dialect of Arabic from southern Iraq. Basically, it's modern Sumerian, that region of Iraq. And there was somebody in the household that spoke Arabic, about 8 different dialects. And so they knew this person was actually speaking legitimate, specific Arabic of that dialect. So, but you're not going to see that in a vacuum on its own. You're going to see that as just one sign that goes along with all the suffering of being possessed. Possession isn't just knowing languages.
So how do is there like a key factor that some people might be more susceptible to possession than others, or if you're baptized, can you still get possessed? It's just a lot of curiosities.
There's no one vulnerability and there's no absolute proof against it. It's all about human free will. It's about inviting relationship with these deceptive spirits, and anybody can invite that relationship. So, and again, if you like the Bible and you want to look at scriptural examples, there was people alluded to as being possessed that were Jewish and presumably were brought up in the Jewish faith and engaging in their religious rituals and yet became possessed. And certainly just experience bears out that being baptized doesn't make you like you're not proof against it. Just like being baptized doesn't mean temptation stops. So temptation comes from the demon. And Thomas Aquinas, explains to us that it's an excitation of the memories and a stirring of the passions. So you're tempted by remembering what a nice apple looks and tastes like, and then your passions stir up and you think, oh man, I really want an apple. And that's essentially what temptation is. He has to work with something that's already in your mind. And being baptized doesn't make you immune to the demon's activity and temptation. And likewise in these other areas. And the reason for that is God allows these things as corrective experiences to stop people from walking away from God and entering into a relationship with the demon. So even though it really is not pleasant, it's a last-ditch effort to wake the person up and say, stop playing with black magic. That thing isn't your friend. I'm going to let you see what creature you're choosing so that you'll hopefully turn away from it and come back to God. So yeah, that's a long-winded answer. Touching on, the whole question of why does God allow evil?
Yeah, it's a big lesson to learn. Haven't you been possessed by some kind of presence?
Yeah, but it's the person's about to fall off the cliff. So if you're so entangled in black magic that Basically, if you're possessed, you're already almost always flirting with suicide. The demon is constantly telling you kill yourself.
Oh,
You're being tortured. You're sleep deprived. You're in danger of losing heaven. You're in danger of ending up dead and damned. And so it's a last ditch effort that God allows to shake that person out of what they've walked into.
What do you consider black magic?
Well, the difference between magic and religion is thy will be done. It's a submission to God's will. So it's the soul seeking to do what God created it to do and has put the person here to do in their life. Magic's approach is my will be done. So instead of submitting to God, it's I want my will to be pushed on the world. I want to get the girl. I want to get the money. I want the shiny car. I want my will to overcome the world or other people so I get what I want at the expense of others. So the magic approach is my will be done. And black magic is essentially the recruiting of spirits to help you get what you want.
Oh.
Instead of submitting to God and seeking God's will, you're trying to foist your will on the world. And since you're only a human and you don't have magic powers, you then bargain with spirits who can do these parlor tricks to try to help you get what you want. And it essentially boils down to either comfort, information, or power. So if I'm worried about the afterlife and my mortality, I want to hear from the other side. I play with the Ouija board. I'm seeking hidden information. I might ask the supposed spirit, what's it like over there? What happens when you die? I'm seeking comfort. And if I just want information on my business enemy and I want to know how to overcome them or what they're plotting against me, I might ask a spirit to go gather that information for me. That's seeking information. And then seeking power. Cutting deals, and this goes to Aleister Crowley's Goetic Magic, the books of summoning demons and literally cutting deals with them and saying, go get me riches, go get me whatever in the world. And they make these offers to us at exorcisms sometimes. They'll offer to, if we'll just stop and let them keep this person, what do you want in the world? We've got the world wired, just tell us what you want. So yeah, essentially black magic is the recruiting of spirits to get what you want in life.
So anything that when you dabble into all that occult stuff, that you open the doors to demonic possessions?
Well, possession is kind of the end of the road. So typically you don't go from zero to possess the first time you dabble in it.
So what happens if you're saying it's not the first, so you're not gonna end up being possessed. It's just the demon or the evil Satan is going to just tempt you from that moment on.
No. So it's kind of like any other addiction. Think of it. An analogy would be an addiction in life. So say alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
The first time you have a beer or have a shot of alcohol, you're not going to instantly be an alcoholic unless you have a really genetic, weakness to that, like the Native Americans did. But as you use alcohol repeatedly and then start building a tolerance and then use it more and more deeply and it starts to eat away at your life and get a hold on you, that's when you get into the problems where you start losing your job because of your drinking and all these other effects. Same thing with black magic. Typically, you start dabbling, the demon pretends to be harmless or even something friendly, your guardian angel, your dead grandmother, the child that you lost that you're bereaved about, whatever's going to make you drop your guard, the demon's going to pretend to be that in the beginning until it gets you to do more and more and deeper and submit your will more and more to it until you get to the point where you can't back out on your own. Then the relationship switches to from pretending to be subservient to you to now starting to control you. I don't like what you just did. You're not going to do that anymore. I want you to go over here today instead of spending your time with that person. I want you alone. I want you separated from your spouse or your family, whatever it is. It's going to start becoming a domination of the person. It's no longer doing what you're asking it to do. And then eventually it's going to say, all this suffering that I'm putting you through could end if you just give yourself to us. So it's going to start torturing you to the point where your life is just a nightmare. And then it's going to say, you got two ways out of this situation. You can either kill yourself or give yourself to us entirely. And typically that's when the people give in entirely and become possessed. So it's a process. It's not just, bam.
Mm. Jason, can you hear those questions? I mean, can you hear what he's talking about? You're having a little technical problem.
Yeah, everything keeps glitching over here.
Well, you're in Philly, aren't you?
I'm still in New Jersey right now, about 40 minutes from Philly. It must be the hotel Wi-Fi not the best.
Maybe.
Oh yeah.
So, why the devil most intently attacks priests and religious vocations?
Because ordained clergy are greater enemies. So if you were a criminal organization, would you attack the cops that work in your city, or would you attack the street people? You want to strategically take out the people that pose a threat to you.
Now, is there many priests that are attacked by demonic entities?
No, because they're generally they're not allowed to, outside of maybe a minor parlor trick, because the priest isn't going to be breaking these rules and opening up to that relationship.
Well, what could happen to what happened, was it last year when all those priests got busted? Is it possible the devil got in there?
Which ones?
The ones that molested kids.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between what would be considered ordinary activity of the demon, which is temptation and sin, which can drill down and become very deep and disturb sin. So obviously molesting children is a highly advanced sin that's very destructive and a deep relationship with sin. But that's still considered an ordinary activity. The extraordinary activity, demonic infestation, demonic oppression, and demonic possession, doesn't necessarily come just from sinning. Now, temptation, especially temptation to molest or do any kind of sex crime, almost certainly is coming from the demonic. And so the demon has a hand in that, just like any sex offender in prison. The demon had a hand in what they did.
Okay, now to come back with another question real quick. If it's a priest and he's at the rectory or he's in the church, isn't the devil not allowed to be in there?
Oh, no, he's allowed to be there.
He is?
Yep. Sure. The beginning of the Catholic Mass, they still do it at some masses. You'll see it at Easter and other big holy days. As the Mass is starting, a preparatory step, the priest will go around the entire church with holy water and sprinkle holy water on the people.
Okay.
And this is before the Mass starts. And the ancient understanding of why that was done was to drive the demons away from the people that would distract them from their prayer during Mass. So,
Okay.
yeah, so no, it's not like they can't be there. Now, typically a possessed person within about 10 to 15 feet of the tabernacle will be under so much distress that they'll be shut down. They'll usually collapse. So being in a certain proximity to the Eucharist, even if they don't know it's there, it's not like you could say, oh, it's psychological, they can see the tabernacle because they're in a church. I had a situation many years ago when the church was under renovation. The tabernacle was actually stored in the priest's office in the hall, and there was a big event going on where they were cooking a lot of food, and a person started demoning out there, and we moved them into a utility closet to not scare anybody else, to try to get them calmed down. We didn't realize that Father had moved the tabernacle into his office, which was right next to the utility closet. And so the demons actually became more enraged and terrified because they were now about 15 feet away from the tabernacle. But we didn't realize, we didn't put that together. So it certainly hurts them to be close to the tabernacle, but they can still be there.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. No. This is fascinating. I wish we had more than an hour because I would like to. You're in Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah.
I would like to meet up with you one-on-one, have a cup of coffee, and talk more about this.
I'm so incredibly busy.
Okay.
It's just unlikely to happen. I'm in canon law school. I'm writing the next book. I'm wrapping up a current book. I'm starting a radio show with a friend on Catholic radio starting this Saturday. It's just plus exorcisms every week. I don't
actually have exorcisms almost every week.
Oh, every week. Yeah, we do them.
Oh, wow.
That is terrifying to even to hear such a thing. That's almost every week.
It is every week. We have 4 cases going right now.
That's the scariest thing I've ever heard. And I mean, I watched that show Evil, and I see they say that they get a lot of their materials real. So I don't know if you've ever seen. You should watch it. I know it's on Netflix right now.
Yeah. It's not very accurate. It's not very good. No.
Oh, I mean, it's not as bad. I mean, when you see these things that happen, I mean, like when you see an exorcism on movies, is it close to that at all?
No. These are writers in Hollywood.
Thank you.
Are they less severe? I mean, or are they worse?
They're writers in Hollywood, and so they amp up everything and they make stuff up to add to it. So,
okay,
like if you look at the movie The Exorcist, the main book that he used, and I don't have it with me because I'm at home. I forget the entire title, but it's a thick book on the history of exorcism, possession and exorcism across cultures, not just in the Catholic Church. In the movie The Exorcist, they basically took everything that happened in any case in that book, which spanned like 600 years, and they crammed it all into one case, and then they amped it up. Like heads had never spun around.
Okay, so people don't walk with their arms out and.
Well, no, that could happen.
Okay.
We've seen bones dislocate spontaneously. We've seen the body bend in ways that it shouldn't bend, but heads never spin around. Levitation is extremely rare. It's like 1 in 200 cases. So Hollywood, because it's Hollywood writers, most people, they don't have access to people that actually do this. And so what they do is they watch other movies and then they think, oh, well, how do we amp it up? And so, no, the TV shows and movies are not accurate. The closest thing is the movie The Exorcism of Emily Rose. And in that, the actual exorcism is not accurate, but the portrayal of her becoming possessed is the most accurate I've seen.
I'm going to have to watch that this weekend.
That's a creepy movie.
Yeah.
So how does evil how evil can manifest itself in physical objects and or symptoms? So how does that happen?
Okay, so and don't worry about reading from the questions that you have. Just
no, I want to know. I took printed these out because I'm interested in them. That's why.
So
I normally don't do that. Normally, I just pick my own questions, but I thought these were really interesting. So how does it happen? So how does evil manifest itself in physical objects? Like my what do you call it? Magic 8 ball.
Well, yeah, that's just a game. That's a toy.
I know, but how could evil manifest that?
Okay, so there's a couple questions I think in what you're saying. So first off, fallen angels are pure spirit. They're not physical at all. There's nothing physical about them. However, they can have effects on physical things. So they can make an object disappear and then reappear somewhere else later. We've had people spit nails during exorcisms where they'll spit nails continuously for like 45 minutes. And there's no nails cheeked in their mouth. They don't have a chance to put them in there, but they can produce these things. There's been cases where they produce razor blades and larger pieces of metal out of their mouth during the exorcisms just to freak people out. So objects can be moved. And then the other issue, I think, of what you're getting at is the idea of cursed objects, and that's a different thing. So
Okay, that's different.
anything can be blessed, which is kind of the priest asking God to have a bit of divinity connected with that object. That's a blessing. Anything can also be cursed, and that is somebody with authority over the object invites the demon to form a relationship with that object. You have to be an authority over it. So just like somebody couldn't walk up to your house from the sidewalk and say, "Oh, Satan, I give you this house." And then suddenly you have demonic problems in your house because some random person just said that. They don't have authority over your house. Satan has to go to God and say, "Can I have permission to do things in this house?" God's not going to say yes unless the person in authority invited it. So with objects, you can have somebody curse an object. They invite the demon. They have to have authority over that object to connect with it in some way. And then they either get the object in your house or get you to eat it or drink it. And then you'll see the effect of the presence of that object, because a demon essentially says, "I'm allowed to be with this object, and this object is here, therefore I'm going to be active here." And so you can see people that like buy an antique that they don't know what was done to it before, and it turns out that it was cursed. As soon as they bring it in the house, things start happening in the house that are disturbing. As soon as you remove the object, everything stops. That's an example. And then people have gotten into trouble with eating or drinking something that's been cursed, because now it enters the body, and now you get afflictions on your body. And in certain situations, it's more complicated than just eating or drinking something, but that is what has led to possession in a number of cases.
From eating something that's been cursed.
Yeah, and this is probably where the ancient tradition of saying grace over anything before you put it in your body comes from, because you don't know spiritually what's been done to that person puts in front of you. So cursed objects are real. There's minor exorcisms, which are for cursed objects or homes, and then solemn exorcisms are for people. So finding and exorcising cursed objects is something that's done regularly.
You better not just get anything from an antique store, because you don't know what you're picking up. Somebody else's.
Well, that's true. Antique stores is like the number one place to pick something up that is haunted or cursed or haunted, But then again, there's some pieces there's some good.
I was just going to say real quick, we were talking about these cursed objects. Where I worked, there was a wooden box, a very old one. And a customer came down and took the box because he really wanted it. A couple of days later, brings it back down and says, "Get this thing away from me. Ever since I took it home, it's just been nothing but bad luck and terror." And I checked the box out. I didn't take it home, but you could just feel like there's a presence of something with it. What it is, I'm not sure.
Can you bless an object after you got it? Did it has a curse to get rid of it or not?
Blessing doesn't remove the spirit. It has to be driven out. So blessing just ticks it off and makes it uncomfortable for it, but it doesn't remove it.
So that's how people could have like their houses blessed and still have bad activity. Okay, that makes sense now.
Yeah, typically what happens is it goes quiet for a couple days and then it comes back with a vengeance.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Okay, now you when you talk about possession and evil, opening the doors, playing with Ouija boards, tarot cards. We have two ghost hunters right here. They investigate ghosts, houses, and people. Now that you are saying that can open the door to it too.
Yeah, so I started this whole journey looking into people that claim to have this haunted stuff, and then I met most of the paranormal celebrities in those early years of the paranormal craze.
Mhm.
You know, like been at a number of conferences with Jay and Grant. I knew Mark and Debbie. They're dead. You probably know their case. You know, a number of other people, some that aren't maybe as prominent as they used to be. And over the years, I've come to understand. And here's the thing. So this is a long kind of soapbox, and I apologize. But okay, so the bottom line is ghost hunting is two things from a Christian perspective that's problematic.
No.
Number one, it's a violation of the first commandment because you're turning to a spirit other than God for comfort or information. You're saying, show me there's an afterlife, tell me something. And so you're violating the first commandment, which is to put God first and love God only in terms of any spirit. Secondly, if you're a Christian, you're literally doing exactly necromancy, which is the definition of necromancy is calling the dead in order to talk to them. And from a Christian, at least for a Christian, it is vehemently forbidden. So the word abhorrent is only used, I think, 4 times in the Bible. And the word abhorrent is how God is described as feeling towards necromancy. So his reaction to it, according to the Bible, is he'll cut you off from his people and turn his face away from you. So it's apparently a big deal to God. Now, the thing about ghost hunting, and by the way, 1/5 to 1/4 of all the cases we dealt with, house cases, oppression cases, and even in one case possession, but mostly houses and oppression, a 1/5 to 1/4 were ghost hunters in all these years. And those paranormal celebrities that you see on TV, most of them have had train wrecks in their life, but they don't put that on television. Because that doesn't attract viewers and it doesn't sell advertising dollars. So I know most of those people, and I know the things that are going on in their life that are private that aren't on the TV show. The shows sanitize it and make it seem like a harmless hobby. But if you've spent any time in the paranormal world, you know you've heard of innumerable people that have had serious fallout from playing with spirits. You will sooner or later. And some things are more dangerous than others. So the Ouija board, the pendulum, divining rods are particularly dangerous because you're inviting a spirit to manipulate your body. And so you're giving a certain amount of dominion over to the spirit. You're giving a certain authority over your body to the spirit. So it's a quicker route to a problem. Asking for something to speak in a recorder, you're not giving it direct dominion over your body. So it's a slower route. But yeah, it took years to fully understand it and appreciate it. And I'm not just like being judgmental or holier than thou at all. But I've seen so many cases that have come out of it, and I've known the people that made it their life. And I know the stuff that was going on in their life. And I'm not going to talk about people's private business publicly. You know, the one case that you probably are aware of is Mark and Debbie, because that was known and it was in the public. You know, their murder suicide. You know, Mark and Debbie Constantino.
No.
They're the biggest EVP experts in the country. They were on.
They committed suicide.
Murder suicide. Later you can Google it, Mark and Debbie Constantino.
Yeah, I will.
I think I heard of them.
They appeared on most of the big paranormal TV shows, and they were at many paranormal conferences because they were known as people that could get EVPs basically anywhere they went.
Well, what about the Warrens? Because she was very religious. I mean, she was always saying the rosary. I mean, she was I don't know if she was Catholic. Was it Elizabeth Warren?
Lorraine Warren.
Lorraine Warren.
Because she was very highly religious.
Yep, and I only talked with Lorraine once. I didn't know Ed. He was already dead by the time I was getting involved in this, but I'm friends with one of their close relatives. It's a long story, but basically Ed and Lorraine did things that from a Catholic perspective you would never do, like using trance mediums to try to talk to spirits in homes. That was their main technique for figuring out what was going on with the haunting. And again, from a Christian perspective, from a Catholic perspective, that's incredibly forbidden. And so they were doing things that are absolutely not Catholic and are inviting all kinds of problems. It's also, I mean, I get it, I guess, but it's a little odd to keep things that you're saying are cursed and then keep them and allow people to come into your home and interact with them.
I thought they kept him locked up in a room, but they didn't let anybody see them.
Look at any tours of their museum. There's only a few items that are actually in cases that are closed and locked. Most stuff is just out for the person to approach and interact with. And it just from a common sense level, why not exercise those things and get rid of them? Why celebrate them if they've caused so much hardship and evil, and if there's satanic stuff in there? And so anyway, I'm saying I get it. There's a fascination. There's a P.T. Barnum component to that where that's fine, but they weren't doing things properly from a Christian perspective. They were using trance mediums and they were using spirit communication that you wouldn't use. Like we deal with hauntings very easily. It's really easy. If it's a poor soul, meaning it's an actual human soul, they're not going to talk to you because they're not allowed to. They're only going to signal their presence. You go and you say the prayers for the dead and the haunting stops. It stops. All the activity stops and it doesn't come back because they got what they needed. And if it's demonic, meaning it's destructive or scary, which is a clue that it's demonic, you go in and do an exorcism of the place and then you bless it afterwards and everything stops. You don't play around and do recordings and try to find proof that they're there, because what good does that do? Most paranormal groups, and I'm sorry for the soapbox, they claim that they're helping people, but in reality, they come into somebody's home that's in distress, they take a bunch of recordings and they say, yep, it's haunted, and then they leave. Like they almost always don't have any actual remedy for the problem. And I know that some people like to say prayers, and that's great. And if the prayers resolve it, wonderful, praise God. But so anyway, that's my long soapbox on ghost hunting.
So what do you do if you have, like you're saying, you say a prayer, like if I have my house is haunted, I don't know if it could be my family or the people that used to live here, just say a prayer for them. What kind of prayer would you say to have them leave?
So first off, you have to understand what you're doing. So it's not to have them leave. It's not like go away and that's my prayer.
Okay.
From a Catholic Christian perspective, if it's a human soul, they're signaling their presence because they need something. Something's disordered. It's not the normal thing for a ghost to be knocking around in your house, right? So there's something amiss, and they're signaling their presence to get your attention so that you'll do what they need. And that is to offer prayers for them, because they're working off from a Catholic Christian perspective, they're working off technically what's called the temporal component of their sins. So they may have repented and been forgiven for their sins, but they still owe God a certain debt. Or another way to think of it is they need to be completely purified. So for instance, again, let's go back to alcohol. Let's say you had a drinking problem when you were younger, and you drank for 10 years and you did a lot of selfish, crappy things, and you got a lot of regrets from those days. And it still is kind of part of who you are now, even though you've been clean for a while. When you die and you're going to make it to God, you need to be completely pure. You can't bring any sin or attachment to sin in union with God. So purgatory is the idea that that's that purification of even the stain of sin left over from your life, okay? And again, this is just Catholic Christian theology. I'm not saying everybody needs to believe it. This is just what we see, and it works. And so you offer prayers for that soul, and that might be a rosary once a day until things stop. For us, for the church, we would come in and say what's called the Office for the Dead, which is basically the priest prays 5 times a day, their breviary. They're required to pray 5 times a day, and those prayers change every day of the year. On the day that they're doing a funeral, they substitute prayers for that soul in all 5 times in that day, and that's called the Office for the Dead. The Divine Office is the name of the book that they say their five daily prayer sessions from. So we would go in and say the Office for the Dead for that soul, and that's what stops the haunting. Now, if it's a demon pretending to be a poor soul, pretending to be a human, it's just going to get ticked off when that happens. So typically what it's going to do is it's going to go quiet for a couple days, and then it's going to try to take revenge on the people for having brought somebody in that was praying. And then they're going to call back and say, well, now people are getting scratched and bit and somebody got thrown down the stairs. This isn't a ghost. And then you come back and you would do a house exorcism and, approach it differently. Or you just throw the kitchen sink at it to save time, say the Office for the Dead, do the house exorcism and bless the house. And that way you just cover all the possibilities.
How do you protect yourself from being possessed or terrorized? Like, does the devil demons pick on certain people? Like, I mean, if you say the rosary every day and you go to church every week, you're still a human being. Does they leave you alone because you have a more of a spiritual life?
Okay, so again, we want to go back to the ordinary activity versus extraordinary activity. So the ordinary activity of the demons is to tempt. They're given permission by God to do that. Cradle to grave, we get tempted. Some days it's worse than others. Some moments we might get a break, but basically that's life, okay? And the purpose of that is to make you spiritually stronger, because once you have something to wrestle against, that's what makes you mature. The extraordinary that we're talking about is extraordinary. It's not everybody, it's not happening all the time, it's not happening to everybody. That's the demonic infestation, oppression, and possession. You get those problems when you're playing around with black magic, when you're inviting a relationship with the demon, specifically. Okay. So it's not just, I'm walking down the street and some demon just decides to scratch me. That can't happen. They need permission to do that, and they need to say to God, this person invited me into their life. I want to do these extra things to them. Okay. So as long as you don't make those invitations, and you and from a Catholic perspective, you would say you stay in a state of grace, and that means don't have unconfessed mortal sin on you. Now, having unconfessed mortal sin doesn't instantly mean you're possessed. I'm not saying that at all, but you want to, as best you can, take advantage of the sacraments. They're there if you happen to be Catholic, and try to avoid violating the 10 Commandments. That's a great place to start, but certainly don't play around with witchcraft and Satanism and go at magic and summoning demons, basically.
So if I stay a good Catholic girl and don't you play with the Ouija board,
you don't need to worry about that.
I don't have to worry about it.
You might as well get a habit and be, like Sister Jenny.
If you do play with an Ouija board, don't burn it afterwards.
Don't bury it. Bury it.
Yeah, I just get rid of it. I think those are myths. Yeah. Just throw it away, but break it so somebody else doesn't use it.
It's a fascinating topic.
Yeah, it is.
So, tell us about your book? This is what you're going to have in your book?
Yeah. So this is the third book. If you wanted to get like an overview of all this, the first book, which is Hauntings, Possessions, and Exorcisms, would be the one to read, and that's kind of an overview of everything. The poor souls, the ghost hunting, what leads to demonic infestation, oppression, possession, what it typically looks like versus the movies, like what it looks like in real life, and how it's resolved. So that would be a good overview. The book that's coming out in September is more of a case studies book with specific real cases. Of course, all the details change, so you don't know who we're talking about. but real cases to show you what has happened to people that have played around with these various inroads that we've been talking about. But the specific life story of that person, what they got involved in, why they got involved in it, and exactly what happened, and then how the case was resolved, if it was resolved. And so it's a case study book with a purpose of educating you on, here's some cautionary tales. It's not about, here's a horrible story to scare the crap out of you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sharing gross details because honestly, no publisher would publish it. The things that happen to people are too horrible. No publisher would publish it and you wouldn't want to read it. But some things I allude to just as, because you kind of have to warn about certain things.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, it's a case studies book, and that's what's coming out in September.
I just find it so fascinating. Oh, I don't know. I've always been like, oh, I know. I want to ask you. I don't know if you know this or not, but when a baby's born, you're supposed to get your baby baptized. Now, I heard from a priest once say that when your baby's born, Satan has claim on that soul until it's baptized. Now, have you ever heard anything like that? Or
Yeah.
It is true?
Yeah. So from a Christian perspective, all of creation was tainted by original sin. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So the whole world, all of creation, including us that are born into it. Jesus came to push the kingdom of heaven into the world and push that kingdom back. And so that boundary gets pushed back by the church over time. When you're born, you're coming through creation, right? You're coming into existence through a tainted creation. And so you have that stain on you. It's not that Satan is possessing you, but you haven't been claimed by God yet.
Okay.
And so in the actual baptism sacrament, it has an exorcism in it where the priest says, Satan, I cast you out of this baby. But they do it in Latin to not freak the parents out.
Yeah, that would freak me out. So that's true. Then I didn't know if that was true. Spirit. Good thing
I've never heard of that actually.
Me neither.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I always thought some people got their babies baptized like the next day because they were so they wanted to make sure the baby was baptized. Now, these people who are possessed and you exorcise them, do they have any memory of this? I mean, do they go back to having a normal life?
Yeah, once it's over, yeah. They're transformed in the sense that they now know beyond a shadow of a doubt that the spiritual world's real, that God's real, that demons are real. And so they tend to be more of a spiritual person moving forward and more strict because of what they've been through. But yes, they go back to having a normal life.
Oh. You guys have any questions for him before? Because he's only here for 10 more minutes because he's only here for an hour.
I'm just enjoyed listening to the story. I know you only got 10 more minutes, and on some of the stuff you say, and I'm not going to contradict what you say, because what you said about ghosts, and I know you're talking Christianity, right? I've been doing this for 16 years with PPS, okay? And we have done possessions. Okay, we have cleared out houses that nobody ever had to come back again, that we had to come back again.
But can you tell me, I'm curious, what did you do?
I work with God. I work with angels, but I don't follow. I was raised Catholic, but I don't follow the Catholicism. But I know, and plus, I've been sober for 31 years now. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I was sober when I started this. And I'm not going to fight you. That's why I'd like to sit down and talk to you whenever you're not busy. Well, I would like to talk to you about it. I'm just putting it out there.
I'm just curious, what specifically do you do? Are there prayers? Do you ask the angels to remove the problem? Like
How I do it is I go into a meditation and I call in the spirits. Not the spirits, the angels. I work with Uriel and I work with Gabriel. I don't work with Michael. Okay. And they come in, they clear it, and the house is okay.
Okay.
But we don't say no prayers. But you are correct about once you.
But that is a prayer? If you're asking holy angels to do some good, that is a prayer. That's a request to heaven.
Well, they never leave my side, dude. You know what I mean? So, and I'm not knocking what you do. In fact, I give you all the kudos in the world for it. You know, but there's another side of clearing entity out, or, you know, getting a person unpossessed. You know, I have done it, and I'm not being egotistical about when I tell you that. I'm telling you from a humble part of me. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, the minor exorcism for houses is
this was a person. They were two people.
Okay, let me finish. The minor exorcism for houses that the church has written and uses is the full version of the St. Michael prayer.
My Michael, Archangel, protect us from the wickedness and the snares of the devil.
Yeah, but it's the full version. So that the one for the laity is very brief. The full version that Pope Leo XIII wrote is, you know, more like 2.5 pages long.
Yeah.
And that's what the minor exorcism is essentially. It's not asking Michael to do it. The priest does give a direct command to leave, but it also involves asking Michael to do it. It also invokes Mary and other saints too, but it's not that alien to what you're describing. Now, with possessed people, I mean,
I think that's different, like than a house.
Like you got to be careful about ever saying the way we do it is right and the way you do it is wrong and can't work, because God is God and God can do whatever he wants.
Exactly.
So it's not up to us to say, oh, I know for sure God wouldn't respond to that, because if you're acting in charity and trying to do the best you can, God may respond to that, even if you're not using a fixed ritual from his church.
And then he does. And then he does.
That being said, though, I would be surprised if a fully possessed person was that easily freed, in the sense of, like, a fully possessed person, it can be a brutal procedure that takes years.
Yeah, they can even take Isn't it true that sometimes it can take more, like 3 or 4 times an exorcism to get the demon out of a person?
6 months.
The one I did was up the street. My brother was with me. My ex-girlfriend was with me. And as that evil or whatever was inside that girl, they actually saw, my brother and my ex-girlfriend saw it with their own eyes, that there was a black smoke that came out of her head and went away.
Did you ever see anything like that, Adam?
Yeah. So before we move on and forget it, though people are sometimes freed quickly, usually by the time they come in for help, they've been possessed for many years, and there are many, many demons inside of them. And it's typically 6 months to 2 years of weekly prayer sessions before everything is out. So the movies make it out to be that it's like, oh, it's 1 10-minute prayer and it's over. That's not how it works in real life. So I'm sorry. And what was your question?
Jenny, what was your question?
I can't remember.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm trying to think. Oh, I was just saying it takes like years sometimes. It's just one time that a person. No, you said that.
You asked about the smoke.
Yes. Did you see anything like that come out of a person?
I've seen it on film. So if you look at the medieval woodcuts or illuminated manuscript images of exorcisms, it'll show a little cloud of black smoke coming out of the person's mouth with a drawing of a little devil in it. I have friends in Russia where they video the exorcisms in the Russian Orthodox Church. We don't allow videotaping because the danger of it ruining the person's life if it were to get out. Over there, they do videotape them. So there was an old woman who, when it came out, this billowing big cloud of dark smoke that like
Wow.
covered the entire area came out of her. So I've seen it. I've not seen it in person. It's not the typical thing, just like levitation is rare and spitting nails is rare. The actual smoke thing is rare. But may see it someday. It doesn't really matter. You see
I
so much
don't want to see it.
stuff. It doesn't matter.
Have you ever heard of animals being possessed?
Yeah.
Have you ever run into one?
I've seen animals go crazy in house cases, and suddenly viciously either attack each other or their owner, or leave and run off and leave the house and never come back.
Oh my.
That's done more as a torment for the owners to hurt them.
I bet.
And then we have had demons literally say to the priest, I don't want to go back to Satan to be punished for failing. Give me permission to go into the nearest dog.
Oh.
Wow.
And of course, the priest doesn't, because, but so, there's references, and of course the Bible story of the demons asking Jesus for permission to go into the pigs. So there's even a reference in the Bible about them entering animals.
What happens if you eat the pig? Won't the devil come into you?
Well, the thing is, once the pig was dead, I don't think the spirit would remain there.
No.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Before you leave, I still can't understand how a demon can go ask God, is it okay if I possess this person?
Just go read the book of Job in the Bible.
Job?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to write that down.
J-O-B.
That's the best book in the Bible.
I mean, why would he?
Well, read the book of Job and you'll see
Then
why.
I'll figure it out then when I read it.
But essentially, it's God honoring our free will. So if we've asked for the demon then goes to God and says, look, they asked for it. Can I have permission to do this? And because the person asked for it, God honors our free will. He respects our free will and allows us to choose that.
Okay, one more thing. I have so many questions. A person who can believes that they are psychic and they can talk to the dead, are those people not really, and they claim to be Christian?
Again, you can't really, I mean,
you can't be Christian and
you could claim to be Christian, but you're not behaving in a Christian way, because if you go to the Bible, people that consult psychics and mediums, it's called abhorrent to God.
Okay, but I mean,
really, really ticks him off. So
I have premonitions of things that come true. Does that mean I'm there's like demonic stuff in me? Like if I wake up and I said, oh, Mark, your wife's going to be pregnant. Your wife is pregnant. Or I had, Christian's pregnant. Or I don't think you should take a ride tomorrow. I just have this weird feeling. He says, is that coming from the dark side or the light side?
So there's three possibilities. If it sounded like you're Catholic and you're.
Yeah, I'm a Catholic. I go to church. I say the rosary. I do the divine mercy. People say, why are you talking about paranormal stuff?
Please. So, because we don't have much time. So, and that's a big question. So it's unlikely to be the demons because you're not playing around with them or interacting with them directly. It can be what the old exorcists in Rome would call a natural gift, meaning it's a gift from God. It often runs in families. And it seems to be kind of a sensitivity to the spiritual side of life, but it's not necessarily what would be called a charism, or like a charism is kind of a special gift from God to do some job you've been put here to do. So for instance, somebody could have a charism for teaching. They're just an amazing teacher and they inspire people and they convey that stuff. And that's a gift from God to do some function. There can be unusual charisms like prophecy. Most people understand, like the name of your show, right? Most people don't understand what prophecy actually means, but prophecy is information that comes from God that's for the community, It's not something that you sell. It's not something that you say, I'm special, pay attention to me. Aren't I great because I'm a prophet? It's not about ego. It's, again, about submitting to God. And that would be a charism,
Charism.
for ministry. Now, there can be a natural gift, which is this kind of, it sounds like that's more of it's kind of just comes and goes.
Mm-hmm.
We don't fully understand why God does that, but it seems to run in families. You just want to be careful if you have that going on, that you never start going down the road of it being an ego trip,
Mm-hmm.
or
Right.
charging people money for it, or seeking attention for it, because then you're going to invite the demon to start inserting its 2 cents in that process, and they'll start weaving into that process and corrupt it.
Well, that's a great.
Exactly.
I'm thankful I got that definition because that's been bothering me. Well, it was fascinating to have you.
Oh, thank you for
Hey,
Yeah, thanks for
Oh,
coming.
thank you for coming on.
and
Sure.
it's so cool that you're from Pittsburgh. I know the one priest, St. Barbara's, Father Paul. I don't know where he's at now. He used to tell me he did that. So I think it's pretty cool that you guys do that. And I wish you the best.
Oh, thank you.
Wish
Yeah,
you the best.
good luck on your
Success in
book.
your book.
Thanks.
And just stay safe out there when you perform these things. Where can someone find your book, YouTube videos, your radio show that you're having?
Just religiousdemonology.com.
Religious demonology.
Yeah, religiousdemonology.com. That has links to the books on there. And I'll be putting up a thing for the radio show once we get all the promo material from the network.
Well, I can't wait to listen. I'm gonna be a total viewer because I find it really cool.
I mean, we should get interesting calls because that's going to be part of it. So
Yes, I cannot wait. That is going to be fantastic. But thanks again for tuning in, guys, and thank you, Adam, for being on the show. I really love it. You have
Thank
a
you,
great
Adam.
night, and thanks again.
sure. God bless you, and God bless
God
your
bless you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow. I thought it was great. I think it was great. I know you don't, Sean, because some of the
I
things
tried
that
to
you.
listen as much.
It was good.
I tried to listen as
you
much as
hear
I
us?
could, but the
Can you hear us?
torture, the torture Tuesday, it's constant glitching over here. Like
Oh,
everything-
man.
Gotta be the
I missed
internet, dude.
most of it. Yeah.
You have to go back and
It is.
listen. It was a very interesting topic, and actually, I like this exorcist guy better than the other father that was on it because he seems like he really went into depth of what it means to be possessed and the difference between being possessed and mentally ill. I just found it fascinating, and at least what did he call that?
Charisma,
Riz-
something. We're from Pittsburgh. I don't know.
That's charisma, the natural thing. Because I always wondered and I always fought with that because I mean I've had so many weird stuff since I was a little kid, and then I started to dabble and stuff. I used the tarot cards and I did angel cards and I did moon rituals and all that
But
stuff.
that doesn't make it bad, Jen.
I know. Yeah, I
Do you-
know what you're saying because
But no, but do you know how many hate emails I'm going to get?
why?
Because he talked about black magic, the witches, and stuff
Well,
like that.
black magic is going to take.
I'm telling you right
Black
now, Jen.
magic will take you down to the wrong road. Black magic is bad.
I'm going to get a ton of emails, hate ones.
Black magic is bad.
You're gonna get hate TikTok.
If you're talking about Wiccan and stuff, that's totally different than black magic. Is when you worship Satan. Look it up, Sean.
There's not too much. There's not too much. The ones I know do not worship Satan, but they do
Black
magic.
magic. Look it up. Just look it up right now. The definition of black magic. Okay, I'm gonna look it up right now.
I am too.
Not
Trust-
the
I mean,
band.
black magic.
Not the band. Not the definition. Wait, not the not the not no kind of like definition. Okay.
Look up black magic.
The type of magic which is believed to use the power of the devil in order to do evil. That is the definition of black magic. I mean, if they're doing like light magic, healing magic, stuff like that and Wiccan. And that's not black magic. Black magic is when you're dealing with, the candles and rituals and sacrificing babies. And even the black magic mass mocks the Catholic mass. Oh my God, Charlie horse. See, every time I talk about this stuff.
You're not possessed, Tom.
I'm not possessed. I got a Charlie horse. No.
But you know what? That gift you're talking about, since you have, to me, God gave you that gift.
That's what I'm saying. I feel better because I always was torturing myself. Was this because I would have dreams or I'd have feelings? I remember one time remember those chain letters that if you don't do this and you don't send it out, all these people will die or a bad accident.
Oh,
yeah, I sure do.
Okay, well, I did it, and I picked all these names in my family, and all this bad shit happened. And then I thought to myself, well, was I just having a premonition that was going to happen? And so, or I would just think of something like, I remember when I was working as a hairdresser, this is like, oh my God, forever, probably about 30 some years ago. And it was a slow Monday. It was called Haircrafters in Murraysville. And we were just talking and I go, I always wanted to go to that castle in New Jersey, the haunted one. Remember what that was called? The castle in
Hey, I'm in New Jersey. Where's that?
I think it was in Brigantine or something. It was a haunted castle. And I go, but I'm not going to be able to do that anymore. Out of the blue. And all of a sudden on the way home from work, there was an announcement that it burned, killing like 54 people. That freaked the shit out of me. And then I would have premonitions like almost every day. And it would drive me crazy. And I didn't like it anymore. So I said it to go away. And then one time I said, I wish it would come back. And I did come back. Where I knew my daughter-in-law was pregnant. I saw my son's baby in heaven with my sister who'd passed away. And it was in this weird cradle thing. And it was dark, just like it looks like now. And I said, oh my God, Johnny's going to have a baby. I seen it. My sister who's passed. She goes, you want to see Johnny's baby? And I go, oh my God. And I'm looking, and she goes, I'm taking care of it. And the weird thing is, my sister she dealt with labor and delivery at West Penn Hospital, and she was taking care of the baby.
Oh wow!
In heaven, cool. So wild. But when I seen the baby laying there, when I seen my son's baby, it looked just like it. I mean, the dark hair, and it just looked like it's like I seen you in heaven, my dream.
And you're blessed to have that gift.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. When he said that, I wanted to see if he was going to say, oh, that's demonic, or that you're going to be walking down the wrong path. But he didn't. And I always say that's why I picked the name prophecy, because I find that it's like prophecy is like messages from heaven. And I know people think, like, I get a lot of flack, like even from my mom sometimes. She'll say, you're opening the door when you do a radio show. Just because I do a radio show on the paranormal does not mean I'm involved in the darkness, and I want people to know that the paranormal is not just, it's anything it's like anything beyond the scope of normal. We can't explain it. And a lot of things that happen in the paranormal world, like ghosts, and this weird stuff, I don't find the demonic stuff paranormal. I just find that scary. Okay. Aliens, UFOs, these weird things that we can't explain. I don't think that that's bad. I mean, I don't think it's evil, but I do believe when you go into a situation, even when I fool around, this is all for fun. Okay. This is fun. This is entertainment. Where the heck is it?
It is best not to say now.
Right. This little guy. This is entertainment. There's a difference. I know. You already said that.
Ask him why my computer's glitching so bad.
Mr. Predictor. Mr. Predictor. What do you want me to ask it? Why is Jason having glitches? Oh no, that one. He only can answer one. Does Jason have something weird in his room that's causing Torture Tuesday?
Yes.
You know, the whole time we've been on here, I keep thinking that the door in my background, I'm just waiting for it to like slam shut or
Well,
something.
are you
I've
getting
been
glitches
waiting
with
for
us?
it.
Are you getting glitches with us right now? So I can still hear
It's
it. Like,
off and on. It's like I get a short period where I can hear everybody, and then for like a minute I can't hear anything. It's just all computer glitch noise.
no, it's
Well,
because
do
you're in
you
the
think maybe if you look at it this way, you could, that maybe you weren't supposed to hear what was said?
Maybe because I literally missed about half of it because it was just
Mhm.
it's constant. I can't get it to stop, and it would have to be I guess the internet here, but I'm showing full service on my computer, but that doesn't mean that their
Well, sometimes it just
complimentary
doesn't.
service is any good.
Well,
Couldn't you
no.
use a hotspot on your phone?
What is that hotspot? I tried that.
I don't
Couldn't
have
do
a hotspot on this phone.
No.
That's the internet you can run through your cell phone from other devices.
Oh, okay. I haven't tried that, but sometimes,
Say like your cell phone would be like you
yeah.
could turn your mobile hotspot on and then connect to it with your laptop, and then that way you can use your computer.
Yeah, I listened to some of his videos. I mean, I don't know, it kind of freaks me out. I mean, all that stuff talking about that before I go to bed tonight. I don't like talking about it.
Ooh,
It's just
Whoa.
scary. I mean,
creepy movie.
I love watching scary movies like that on TV, but I've noticed there was a couple documentaries on Netflix who, and it wasn't Netflix, it was Amazon Prime that they did actual exorcism. They're so scary. They're so scary. But I wouldn't want to do that for a living. Sorry. Mm.
No,
No.
no. I like going to houses and, and investigating ghosts. That's what I like to do.
Yeah, same here.
Well,
I
ghosts,
like it.
I like to go to cemeteries and
ghosts
find
are
them.
different than demons.
What's that?
Ghosts are different than demons. I think
How
what
do you
he's
know?
saying.
But then they
Because
say that if people's spirits are not allowed to communicate with us. Did he
that's
say
what
something
he.
about that?
No, I think he said the demons can't communicate with us.
No, he said
I
the
thought you
people
said the
spirit. No, he
spirits.
They're
said the
not
people.
allowed. They're not allowed to talk.
Right. The people
Not
The
spirit.
human
spirit.
spirits. Yeah,
No,
the
he,
human.
I didn't, he didn't say that. He said,
Yeah, he
"Don't."
did.
Yeah, he
Yeah, he
did.
did.
Go
That's
rewind
what
it.
one part I did catch.
Well, he said he don't think you're out when you go and you said, "What is your name?" You shouldn't do that. Just leave him alone.
But what if the people are calling us and telling, hey, we need help or
That's
something in our
different.
house?
I wouldn't want to call out the names of them. Did
The
you
only-
ever hear the demon that said, "What's your name?" Demons, when they tell you their name, you better watch out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Now that's ridiculous. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
here's something crazy. My wife just reminded me about this. So this was a while ago. This is a few years back, and we rented this movie. I think it was from Redbox, and it was some kind of like possession movie. And it got to this one really creepy scene, and it was like freaking us out a little bit. I'm like, wow, this movie's pretty intense. And then all of a sudden, just crap started going haywire in the house. It was unbelievable.
Huh.
So to the point that we actually took the movie out, we stopped watching it and took it back immediately to the
Why?
Redbox.
What was the
And
movie?
what happened?
I don't know. I don't know if it was just bringing something in or what, but it was just crazy.
Well, I
forgot all about
think
that.
movies can do that. I think anything I think anything like that can happen.
Yeah, it was crazy. That was weird. It was very weird because
Well,
I
how
like
about-
scary movies and all that.
How about the movie Poltergeist where a lot of those actors died?
Well, wasn't that on like actual Indian burial ground that they
Yeah.
shot
Yeah.
most of that?
Something like that. And that little girl died and a couple other people died because of that. Or they got really, really sick after
Yeah.
that movie was done.
Wasn't he
Yeah.
talking about something else that he said to watch? That I never heard of the Constantines. I never heard of them. I'm gonna have to look that up. I do believe if you're possessed, you're going to kill you. I think a lot of the people that commit suicide are tortured by some kind of demonic presence. People who commit suicide, because depression is it could be you're tortured mentally, physically, emotionally, and it could be, how do you know it's not some kind of possession that takes over these people who commit suicide? I mean, you have to be hurting so bad to take your life, especially some of the ways that gunshots, like why what's her name, that Judd lady?
Oh,
Winona,
Winona and the mom.
the mother, yeah, that she shot herself in the head. You have to be tortured. And what do you think that the evil does? Satan does. He tortures people. He tortures people to the point where they commit suicide.
What about what about Robin Williams? Because they said he suffered from depression. But
yeah, depression.
Was it,
how do you know?
Was it depression or was it possibly
demonic possession?
You know, something possessing him.
Yeah, you don't know.
So am I possessed then?
What?
Am I possessed?
No.
All right then.
Yes.
Did you commit suicide?
And I have a lot of depression.
Well, people who are some people who are depressed and are alcoholics.
It was Naomi Judd, by the way.
Naomi.
Some people who are possessed suffer from major depression, alcoholism, drug addiction, sexual addiction, pedophiles are all. I'm not saying that's why you go.
Alcohol, drugs, my God, I should have been dead a long time ago.
Well, if medicine doesn't help you, that's what he's saying, that sometimes they're possessed. That's why they do this evaluation on them to see. But that's the devil makes everybody sick.
And you know, I'm not going to fight you all night about this. I'm not going to debate it with you because I have a problem with the Catholic Church, and so I'm not really, even though I went to school for 12 years.
Yeah.
I do not recognize their beliefs anymore.
Well, you don't have to, but you have to. You don't have to recognize their beliefs.
No, I just don't trust.
But you can't be rude to a guest either. So
that's why I kept my mouth shut.
Okay, but he's probably.
I bit it. I bit my. I gummed my tongue. I was like, oh Lord, I wanted to go off, but I did.
Puppet.
Oh my
Jenny
God!
doesn't look like a sock puppet with us.
No, Jenny would have kicked me off.
I'm not happy with the Catholic Church, but I'm still Catholic because that's, you know, I like the ritual of the Mass.
And I have a problem with the priest up on the altar saying the Mass.
Well, they're not there. They're there representing God. I mean, people that go to church aren't there to go worship the priest. They're going to worship the man.
How about all the ones that got busted for child abuse?
Oh yeah, I understand that. Sean.
I think that's what Sean's talking about. There's what 480.
Yeah, there was. But
I had in Pittsburgh and Boston.
I have a problem with it too, but I don't go to church to listen to the priest. In fact, I tune him out when he does the homily. So if he's listening,
you know what's weird is when that all came out, the bishop, I found out that he was part of the whole situation. And just thinking back to when I was a teenager, got my confirmation and all that through, you know, CCD, and you know, it's kind of weird. It kind of freaks you out, like thinking like, okay, so he was part of what's going on, and then
it's sickening.
I'm also getting a blessing.
Yeah,
how does that work?
It's sickening, but you have to understand that they're not the ones that are doing. The Catholic Church has been infiltrated by the devil since the 1940s. If you are interested in this topic at all, Taylor Marshall, he has his own YouTube channel. He goes into depth, and he wrote a book called Infiltration, which is the Catholic infiltration of the Catholic Church.
I'm sure it's been infiltrated a lot longer than.
Yeah, it's gone way back
in the
Fatima.
Oh yeah.
There was these 3 children who saw the Blessed Mother, and they actually think the one was murdered by the Catholic Church because she knew the secret, and the secret wasn't that Pope John was. There's a secret that he was shot. Okay, the secret was that she told the Pope was the Catholic Church was infiltrated by the devil. And they believe that there's this, thank you, Gina, you look stunning too. They believe that I lost my train of thought. Okay. That the church was infiltrated by the devil. And that nun, Faucia, I think her name Faucia, the little girl, they believe that she was murdered, and there's a double. And you can go research that on Google because they said that that's what happened. No, I totally do not like the Catholic Church. I think the whole institution of the Catholic Church is corrupt. But I go there for the man on the cross who died for my sins. You know what I mean? I go there for him. And I tried to leave the Catholic Church a number of times. I went to non-denominational ones, Christian churches, Protestant, Methodist, Baptist, but I keep going back. But
well, what's it? Okay, and that's good. But St. Thomas, who wasn't put into
what?
the Bible, St. Thomas
Yeah.
wasn't put into the Bible, and his theory was, and this is what he thought: why do I need to go to a four-wall building?
You
to pray
don't.
with? No,
You
I'm
don't.
just saying. This is why it wasn't put into the Bible. He went. To me, I'd rather go sit out in the woods. I would sit by a creek, and then I can talk to God.
Yeah, I do that all
and
the time.
I feel better.
I do that all the time. But there are good and there's bad forces out there, and you can't. He was just saying you can't open the door, because if you open the door, sometimes they let them in, and then it's too late.
And in me and Jason's deal, we never let a demon back in.
Well, good.
All right then. So it's
He wasn't saying. He wasn't saying
he talked about the ones that he saw on TV.
Yeah.
He's the one he talked to them, but he never sat down and talked to a regular paranormal group like us. Never did.
Well, he did now. Maybe he has a better understanding.
Yeah. You know what? I respect what he does, but you know what? Don't just come out and say all paranormal groups are bad.
He didn't say that.
Yes, he did. And
Did he say that, Jason?
He said that around.
I think I said I missed the.
Jason, can you hear that? Can you hear that?
Here and there, yeah.
I mean, I'm being honest.
No, but I do. I know a lot of people that were into the paranormal. I mean, I don't mean ghost hunting. I mean like tarot cards, seance, and they left because something happened to them. And like Doreen Virtue, go look her up. She was I have her cards. I mean, she made beautiful angel cards, tarot cards, and something happened to her that brought her she totally left it. Now she talks on YouTube about her Christianity. So I don't know something must have happened to her that spooked her, because she.
Can we get her on the show and find out?
If we can get her on.
Well, here's a question. So if like psychics and everything are forbidden, why are some people gifted with that ability in the first place?
Well, that's what he was talking about. He said that they're called chasms or whatever, or chisms.
Yeah, that's probably a piece I missed.
And it's a natural gift of prophecy that
if it's forbidden and they're gifted with it, why?
No, that's not what he said.
Not
he says if you go and you use it to boost your ego or make money. That's why I would never, ever try to do that. I mean, I have a gift. My son has a gift. Like he said, it runs in the family. My mother had a gift.
So does that mean as ghost hunters, is that forbidden, or is it not, because we don't go out there for ego or money or any of that stuff?
No, you should be fine then. Unless you go out there and say, I'm going to make millions of money and I'm going to make a movie.
Hell, you know what? Our group is so damn good. We could have, but we didn't. I decided not to do it because, the way I look at it, God gave me this gift to help people. He gave the gift of Pittsburgh Paranormal Society to help people, not to take their money. No.
I would not do. I mean, people will tell me, my friends, why don't you do it for a living? Make some money. I can't. Mm-mm. I will not do that because I know that God gave me a gift and he gave it to me maybe to help somebody, but not to charge money.
Exactly. And exactly. But you know what? If you look at it, if you really get in deep into it, say like, you always have to keep that energy flowing like this, right? So Jason asked me, Sean, can you read me? And I read him, and all of a sudden, boom, it stops. So what you need is, once you give, you need to receive back. All right. And to me, I don't receive money back. I just ask the person to make a person smile or say hello to somebody. And then they repaid them.
So what do you mean read you? So Jason, you asked Sean.
No, that was a situation. I didn't have. No, I'm just saying.
Sean, can you read Jenny?
No.
Oh God, no! I don't want to. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy.
Lord
I got
have
another
mercy.
show and I got to
Mr.
be up
Predictor.
at 4:30.
Mr. Predictor.
The answer is yes.
I didn't answer you. I didn't ask you a question yet, Mr. Predictor. Mr. Predictor.
It predicted what you were going to ask it.
Yeah.
Mr. Predictor. Are we dabbling in something we shouldn't be, like talking to ghosts?
It is a strong possibility.
See, he said so.
Oh, yeah, that's Mr. What, $2. Mr.
Hey, he was
Magic.
right last time we did it.
Hey, you know what?
Oh.
So I know this guy. I know this guy, right? And I was talking to him, and turns out that his son was into like warlock and sorcery stuff to like the fullest extent, and he's apparently a very, very intelligent, young man. And I'm gonna see if I can get a hold of him. That'd be cool to see,
Yeah, get
opinions
on.
from that side.
Get him on the show.
Because that's some pretty, could be some pretty intense stuff to deal with.
Oh, yeah. We do.
Yeah.
Let's see what we have next week. Or let's see my book, my black book.
No.
My little black book.
Oh, no. Your
We
black
have
magic.
Josh. I'm not really sure who this is. I have to go look it up on my Josh on my Gmail account to see who the heck this is. Yes, darling. Let's see who we have. Josh.
I gotta say, I like black magic. It makes my tires really shiny.
Oh yeah, I haven't used that in a while. I haven't.
Lord.
Who the heck is this? I used to like Black Sabbath. No, who the heck is this Josh guy?
I don't know. You're the one that got him.
He didn't. I don't know. I have to go look. He's on my book, but I don't have him on my email address. I don't know who it is. We'll have to figure it out.
Yeah.
See what happens. Well, it was a great show tonight, guys.
Yes, it was. Yes.
So
Nice-
glad
Yeah,
you
for the
all
parts I can
tuned
hear
in.
of it.
Nice
so-
debating. Nice
I'm-
debating.
I thought you said something else.
Oh, God.
Oh, shit. Welcome back, Jenny.
Yeah, welcome back, hon. Look.
Oh, I'm having a hot flash. Okay, yeah, so thank you guys for tuning in tonight. We really appreciate you, and I'm so glad. If you happen to watch the show over, and you should, because there's a lot of information that we talked about. So go ahead and do that, and you can catch our show on YouTube on the UFO Paranormal Radio. I think it's called UP. What is it called? UFO Paranormal Facebook page. You can see it on Pittsburgh Paranormal. And if you'd like to be a guest on our show and you think you might enjoy us, send us a direct message, or you can send me an email at chasingprophecyradio@gmail.com. And I hope you liked our new intro without Trish Mo. I thought it was great. Did you guys
Yes.
like it? I
It
mean,
was good.
very
I liked it.
Turned out pretty good.
Turned out great.
I tried. We can't always be perfect. We tried.
It looked pretty good.
Okay, let me see if I can find the exit, because you know me, I always get lost. I do
Good night, everybody.
get lost. Wait a minute.
Good night, everybody.
I don't know. Joe always sticks it somewhere where I can't find it. I think this is it. Well, see you next week, guys, on Torture Tuesday.
Yep.